Welcome to Keep Your Thrive Alive. I'm Mark Mulligan, and this is a space where I share inspiration, tips, and ideas to boost your mood, your energy, and your well-being. When I work with organisations to identify the cultural factors that either help or sabotage well-being for individuals, time and time again, the thing that comes top of the list is the extent to which people feel valued or appreciated. Next to physical survival, the greatest need of a human being is psychological survival, to be understood, to be affirmed, to be validated, and to be appreciated, says Stephen Covey, author of The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Now, you can have two individuals doing identical work for similar organisations, earning the same amount of money, with one person who feels appreciated and the other one who does not. It'll make a huge difference to their engagement, their productivity, and ultimately whether they decide to stay or to leave. Indeed, Glassdoor, the website where over 4 million employees have anonymously reviewed companies, found that the number one reason people cite for leaving a job is that they feel underappreciated. It's human nature. We all want to be appreciated, and if we don't feel valued at work, we're much more likely to leave. As you ponder on this, I'd like to ask you a few personal questions. Thinking about your workplace, and on a scale of 1 to 10, how appreciated do you feel by your boss? How appreciated do you feel by your colleagues? And how comfortable do you feel showing appreciation for the people that you work with? It reminds me of a joke from my childhood, where this Irish girl says to her teenage boyfriend, "But Jimmy, do you love me? Do you really love me, Jimmy?" And he replies, "Of course I love you. Am I not courting you and buying you chips?" What one person feels is implicit in their behaviour may be completely lost on the other person. Indeed, in one study, it was found that 51% of managers believed that they did a good job at recognising a job well done by their staff, but only 17% of employees in the same group believed their manager recognised them for doing a good job. So why is there a mismatch? Well, in this instance, it's like they're speaking completely different languages. And it's not just between managers and their teams, it can be any working relationship. Indeed, this is what was found by the research of Gary Chapman and Paul White, which they published in their New York Times best-selling book, The 5 Languages of Appreciation in the Workplace. Today, I'd like to share with you 4 of the 5 languages and how you might become more fluent in each of them, so that you can feel more comfortable appreciating your colleagues, and when you do, that they really feel it. Now, let's start with naming the languages, and then I'll explain each of them in more detail. First, words of affirmation. Second, quality time. Third, acts of service. And fourth, tangible gifts. Number 1, words of affirmation. This is the most popular language, with over 45% of people having it as their number 1 preference. This is praising somebody for accomplishments, what it is that they have achieved. What's interesting to me is that the more specific you can be, the more the person feels appreciated. It's much more effective to say to somebody, "Thanks for staying late and double checking all the data in the model," so that we can be confident that the client recommendation is correct, rather than saying, "Thanks for your help last night." It could be acknowledging their character traits. "I really value your honesty, your openness, your friendliness, your work ethic, or your tenacious spirit." For some people, this can feel even more significant, as it validates them as a person and who they see themselves to be. One of the interesting findings in the research is that a whopping 40% of people don't like to receive acknowledgement in front of large groups. Number 2, quality time. For people who've got quality time as their preference, this is about creating opportunities for them to spend time either one-to-one or in groups doing something that's important to them. If it's one-to-one, make sure that you're fully present. Give them your undivided attention. It's about their agenda, what's important to them. It really works well if you can fully listen to what the person is saying, maintain eye contact, listen to the feelings as well as the thoughts, notice their body language, and resist the temptation to interrupt. Show interest in them as a whole person rather than just in the work that they do. With this language of appreciation, it really needs to be genuine. You have to want to do it, otherwise it falls flat. Some managers push back on this one, feeling that the time pressure of adding this duty to their already busy schedules. But managers don't necessarily have to be present. In fact, in some cases, it might be better if the manager excludes themselves, but creates the space for the team to spend quality time together. I was working with a senior partner in a firm in the City of London last year. He shared with some of the other partners that he was feeling particularly undervalued. Their response was to high-five him and send him emails saying, "Great job, well done," but this just wound him up. What he really wanted was time with his peers, to share his vision for the firm and to feel heard. The third language is acts of service. This is simply doing something for somebody else. People with this preference feel that actions speak louder than words. This works particularly well when you notice that the person needs help and you offer to do something for them. I remember in my last business, we went through a preferred supplier process. The project manager completely underestimated the time to complete the templates, print it out, and get it to the client. To hit the deadline, everybody had to roll up their sleeves and help out. The project manager's preference was acts of service, so he felt particularly appreciated. It is important, though, that rather than just jumping in and assuming what they need, ask the person. Also, be clear on your own personal commitments and get your own work done first. Some nice examples that I've seen include helping somebody get their IT sorted when it's playing up, or offering to get food for the team when they're working late. The final language of appreciation is tangible gifts. This is the least popular of the 4 that I'm going to share with you today. With only 10% of people having it as their preference, it's also the trickiest one to get right. This is buying a present for somebody, but it needs to be something that they value, showing you spend time thinking about and buying the gift. It's the thought that counts, in the real sense of the word. Although it doesn't have to be a thing, it could be an experience like a sports event, or a spa treatment, a meal in a special restaurant, or a weekend break. Actually, it could be anything as long as it's something that they really enjoy. If time is precious for an individual, it could be giving them time off, saying something like, "Thanks for working late last night and getting that proposal submitted. Please take the rest of the day off and enjoy yourself." Now, having heard the 4 languages, words of affirmation, quality time, acts of service, and tangible gifts, I wonder if you can tell which one you are. If you have a preference, you'll possibly be blind to others. A characteristic of human nature is that we assume, often wrongly, that other people value things in the same way that we do. So how might you see through this blind spot to find the language of appreciation of your colleagues? Well, you could simply ask them. Most people are like you and have a pretty good sense of what it is that they like best. Now imagine the aim is to make appreciation contagious in your teams and across your organisation. I cycle around London, which some people say is crazy, but to this day I've never had an accident with another bike or a vehicle. I realised recently I have an unconscious strategy for keeping me safe. I catch the eye of the other person and I nod, almost imperceptibly. And you know what's really interesting? Is that they almost always nod back. Gandhi said, "Be the change that you want to see in the world, or at least the change you want to see in your workplace." If you appreciate somebody else, they're more likely to mirror it back. So I hope it's been useful to think about how it is you can appreciate the people that you work with, and in doing so, you're much more likely to be appreciated too. To recap, the 4 languages are words of affirmation, quality time, acts of service, and tangible gifts. Now, I'd love to hear from you. Please leave your comments in the section below this video. What is your language of appreciation? What is the most useful thing about this video? And what action are you going to take? I look forward to seeing you next month, and in the meantime, be well and thrive.